never curses teams.
True.
Our poll says otherwise. Check it out in the community tab if you guys would like some proof. Game number 1 between Honestly and Angry Toast is ready to go in Atal'Dazar.
And quit
All
right
right.
away. Right,
Dude, let's get it.
right away. Right away, we can see that half of the squad is going in an opposite direction here for Angry Toast. Desmond making his way to where they normally pull stuff and is getting snapped right to Brazan in this very first pull. What is happening here?
What is happening here?
This is wild. This is awesome. So they use that technology of trick snapping the tank to Razan, and they're gonna do that. Wow, look how big that Colossus gets. They're gonna do that to use this Unholy Death Knight explosion that was on the first trash pull to also deal damage to like half of the boss's health.
That is
a very cool thing.
That is an insanely good strategy coming out of the side of Angry Toast. Unfortunately, they have 7% less trash than Honestly, so I don't know, but ultimately it's really efficient cleave because all of the damage went onto Razan.
Yeah, I mean, they got a little bit less trash count. They didn't pull all the enemies in that first pull, but they're going to be killing a boss here with this. Now, they don't get that efficient drop down to Razan that the other team will have access to, that Honestly will have access to in the middle of the run. So they are going to pay a little bit of a price for this later. But this is a really, really cool evolution of a strategy that we've just seen developing earlier, in the past couple months in Mythic Plus.
Yeah, I wonder, okay, so basically where do you think that they go from here? Do you think that they go up to that obelisk, the Voidweaver Malthier obelisk that's up and to the left, and then...
So I think that they might still not have pulled the trash right in front of that obelisk. Like the 3-pack that guards that obelisk might still be there.
Okay.
If it's not though, yeah, then that would be a good option. They could also go up the other side and they could go Volcall first. Now that they don't have that drop down to Razan, I think that was a large part of the appeal of going left, was how good that drop down to Razan is. So they may end up going the right side of the dungeon instead, going towards Volcall. I don't know. The possibilities truly are endless here. Very, very cool strategy coming out from Angry Toast. Meanwhile, Honestly, doing something a little bit more conventional here. They are working on Priestess Lunza, and they are using those Unholy Death Knights to demolish her alongside all of her trash at the start.
This is actually a really good point of reference between Honestly and Angry Toast to see how good this strategy and how practical it really is, because Honestly is doing something more of like a conventional strategy. Angry Toast here, taking these Saurids into this little snap spot. This is a very unconventional snap spot, but it's super useful for stuff like Sanguine, because the Sanguine will actually be dropped above the mobs, not beneath them, and heal them. So that spot is fairly useful for certain things. I don't know if it's...
Unfortunately, they have pulled a Shadowblade Stalker here.
Yeah.
Looks like this was not intentional. They are going to have to be killing this thing all by itself, it seems. That is going to cost them a little bit of time there.
Yeah.
Honestly, have dealt with Priestess Lunza, and they are making their way down towards the Razan area next.
I think the strategy that Angry Toast did would be really good if they immediately after Razan just shrouded through and went almost straight up to Priestess Lunza, and then their second pull was all of the trash into the boss. I feel like that would have been really good in terms of timing. Ultimately, just where they are in the map, the strategy that Honestly is doing puts you at a better position just where you are located, and then it's just a little bit more smooth in terms of how you're pathing through the dungeon itself, where Angry Toast is just kind of taking it piece by piece. I do like their strategy, though. What they did at the very beginning was super pog.
Yeah, that first pull was excellent, but they are paying a price for it now, as their next couple pulls have looked pretty inefficient, right? They've done 3 pulls that have earned them a total of 10% enemy forces. That is not... Oh, and unfortunately, Hula falls a little bit behind there, as they... I guess they were just shrouding into this pull, though, and they are actually going to do the rest of this pull now all by itself. This is interesting here, because normally this pull all gets done at the start. They are maybe going to be okay. Quaking coming out. Dangerous moment there, as everybody has to be stacked up to avoid the Juggernaut, but they are going to be okay. It looks like the healing is coming out. Hopefully that Colossus can die first before all the other stuff. But yes, it seems like some of the initial advantage that they generated there is kind of now evaporating with the sequence of pulls that followed that first very, very cool pull coming out from Angry Toast.
I still love that first pull. I think that other teams may end up yoinking that for their own because of how... I think that pull can be very efficient.
Yeah, there's definitely possibilities there, especially if the composition includes a hunter, you could maybe have 2 different people go 2 different sides, and then both get snapped to Razan from 2 different misdirection effects. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Really, really one of the exciting things about Mythic Plus is just how much you can, evolve strategies like that. Meanwhile, Angry Toast snapping Void Weaver Malthair up here. They are making their way to Alunza now, while Honestly are working on Razan. So Angry Toast going to a boss that Honestly have already killed. Honestly going to a boss that Angry Toast have already killed. It looks like Honestly has opened up a little bit of a lead, though, because they will be killing Razan fairly soon, whereas Angry Toast has yet to engage Alunza.
So let's look at it. So 42% trash count versus the 56% trash count. Honestly, a little bit ahead there. If Angry Toast were already on Alunza and have already killed that trash pack in front of the boss, I think the strategy would be a little bit better because just because of how Angry Toast ended up doing that Stalker almost by itself and did like a little bit smaller of a snap than what we've seen from Honestly. I think if they were able to like just pick up the intensity of their pulls in that middle part of the dungeon, they could have actually taken this Atal'Dazar map off, and they still may be able to too. Like if Honestly is firmly in the driver's seat right now, but Angry Toast is still in position to be able to capitalize on any Honestly mistakes.
And this seems like a massive improvement from Angry Toast's time trial Atal'Dazar, which was a 24-minute affair. So it seems like this time is they very much have the potential here to improve on that. Whereas Honestly had a time trial time of 14 minutes, so dramatically faster there, making them clearly the favorites in this matchup. Looks like they are in good shape here, but of course, nothing is over until the run is done, especially with Awakened active. With Awakened active, that potential for the last boss fight to go horribly, horribly wrong goes way up.
So now you
Shroud
see
coming out now for Honestly.
Yeah. I wonder how much they're gonna pull here.
Yeah, setting up a snap. Looks like maybe mid
They got
pull
the
is coming in.
mid-pack.
Yeah, it's coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got the middle pack inside of it with it. You do see Arsenal here standing off to the side, making sure that Pumps is able to gain threat before you end up dropping just a ton of damage into it. Like the scariest part of this whole entire snap is if for some reason the Unholy Death Knights were able to rip threat off of the tank. Everything just comes out of snap spot, then it's a full team wipe. So being very patient there by Disarray and Arsenal is very nice. Angry Toast here downing Priestess Alunza in a couple seconds, and then we'll be moving on towards the middle part of the dungeon, whereas Honestly we'll be downing this middle pack with the 2 dinosaurs and the Dinomancer.
Yeah, this middle pack is going to give them a large amount of extra percent, so they will be ahead on enemy forces.
Oh, okay,
Monzumi.
never mind. It looked like it was in the wall, but I don't know why.
I think just the nameplate got a little wild there, yeah.
I was like, okay, that was just a mistake. It just looked like it was in the wall from the angle that we were looking at. Ninja?
Oh,
you seem to
no!
have fallen.
That is a catastrophe. That is really, really unfortunate. That happens to me all the time here in Atal'Dazar, just falling off the sides of the place. And does Hula have a way to get back up? Unfortunately, there are swords blocking the way on this side.
Not Hula, that is Ninja.
It's gonna... Oh, sorry, Ninja. So Ninja gonna use the meld into Invis pod to get back to the team there. That is really, really... Oh my god, and Pumps has fallen as well. Oh no, what is happening in this match?
All right, and now Pumps is making his way past these toxic swords, probably going to use an invisibility potion as well.
Ninja has died to something. Ninja down somehow along the way. Unfortunately, it looks like his invis didn't quite make it all the way. Pumps is now going to die in the same spot there. They're going to have to probably commit
Angry
a battle
Toast is
res
gonna
here.
have a full wipe on their side as well? What is happening?
All right, a battle res was used on the side of Honestly to get back up Ninja, who is then going to mass res to get back up Pumps. Wow, Gravity is really the true winner of this match, I'd say, here today. Taking down 2 of Honestly's team members in one fell swoop.
I think if Angry Toast doesn't wipe there, they may be able to capitalize on their routing in the middle part of the dungeon, and it could have been a position to be able to actually take the map because of how catastrophic that mistake from Honestly was there. But Angry Toast...
luckily there's not really too much else that they can fall off of for the rest of this dungeon, so they should be okay from here.
That's what you think.
That is what I think. The 2 stalkers there, you saw Pumps try and go and grab them earlier, but unfortunately they were at the very top of their patrol, so they had to wait for them to descend the stairs a little bit to be added into this pull. Out comes the Life Cocoon onto Pumps, as these mobs do hurt quite badly.
Those shield bashes are incredibly scary, I will say, coming out of those shield bearers of Zul. So those need to be dealt with, and then of course those shield bearers also have the Bulwark of Juju cast, which makes mobs take, was it 90% decreased damage while standing inside of it? So That's also fairly annoying. Like, I have dumped a full essence of the Focusing Iris into a Bulwark of Juju, and nothing is a worse feeling than that. Well, I will admit.
Yeah, I usually wait to stun them if I see Tettles casting Focusing Iris. I just let him get that Focusing Iris before I stun.
Okay, well, good thing to know that...
Oh, Desmond going down, as does Hula, and that's going to be another full team wipe from Angry Toast as they set up another snap with that mid pull. But it does not go according to plan. That was a large pull there, but it killed them. Back to you, Tettles.
I think Desmond, like, as soon as his health is able to stabilize, they're actually in good shape. The scariest part of that pull for a Protection Warrior is on pull. Let's see. Let me take a look at what Desmond is running essence-wise. So Desmond is running Strength of the Warden Major Essence, which is quite interesting for how this pull is going. I wonder if he was running something a little bit more defensive, if it would be able to help him out. Like, say if he was running, like, Memory Lucid Dreams Major. I guess he definitely has more experience playing Protection Warrior in this pull than I do, but...
Yeah, one of the huge upsides of Strength of the Warden as well is preventing that nightmare situation of the mob snapping back off at the DK. So the AoE taunt component, very useful here. Does also come with some defensive value too. So I don't blame them for running that at all.
No, I definitely don't blame
very
them.
low. Yeah.
Oh, please,
It looked to me like that was... Oh,
Goodbye,
no,
Spooky.
I saw somebody fall off the side again. Oh, no, no, no. Gravity claims another victim here in Atal'Dazar as Spooky has fallen off the side of the battlefield.
Did you know that you can grapple back on to the side?
Only if you are very quick.
You can grapple all the way down from the bottom.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah. There's like certain
Looks like Spooky
spots.
does not know that either.
He will return to his heroes very shortly.
All right, looks like they're going to be pulling the... Angry Toast pulling this middle pack.
Round 3.
They are going to snap it all by itself. Yep, third time's the charm.
Oh, the
This
Dynamancer
will
stuck in the... Okay, so the Dynamancer, if it has full line of sight to the tank, will actually just stand there and shoot the tank for extended periods of time, not snapping. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, they might have an ability to line her there if Desmond were to move, but it is very sketchy to move on this snap spot for reasons that we've seen 3 times so far this match.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Falling off the side.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's ever fallen off Atal'Dazar.
All right. And we see, honestly, now have made quick work of Volcall. They have just 8% trash left in the dungeon as they make their way towards Yasma. Looks like they're considering activating an obelisk here. I think activating an obelisk makes a lot of sense when you're this far ahead as well. Even if they were planning to fight this with Yasma, at this point, it makes just so much sense to fight it first and, you know, save the extra chance of failure.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to that, even though the YouTube feed is about a minute to a minute and a half behind, I think that honestly would be well aware of where Angry Toast's position is in the dungeon. Is that Dynamancer still just standing? Oh, the Dynamancer is just standing there, still casting on Desmond the whole entire time.
That is tragic.
That is the case.
Very, very unfortunate turn of events there for Angry Toast as the snap does not quite work out the way they'd planned it, although I think that they'd planned that snap a slightly different way one of the 2 times that it wiped them. So they may not have had experience using that snap spot instead of those other ones.
Again, like I was saying earlier, I'm pretty sure if Angry Toast has a clean run, they could have taken this map off of, honestly. I'm not fully convinced that the blunders from Ninja and Pumps falling off the edge, that cost them probably like a minute of just running around. So that was...
To be fair, 10 minutes separated these teams, right? So
Angry Toast is looking significantly better
they
than
are
the
looking
24
much better
minute.
than their time trial, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. They are on track to at least 2 chests this one. That is good. Yasma getting pulled now by Honestly. As in come some awakened enemies. We've got Samrak, Beckoner of Chaos, and we have the Blood of the Corruptor. Those just 2 awakened enemies, not too lethal here. They also have a battle res, and they've just popped their Bloodlust. Out comes the first Soul Rend?
Yes,
I want to say.
that is the name of that ability.
I was thinking Soul Bind, but that's going to be a Shadowlands thing.
That is not a thing in this dungeon. So something that is important to note about how you deal with Samrak, Beckoner of Chaos, or Blood of the Corruptor if you want to play it at home. Samrak, Beckoner of Chaos fears you in relation to his position, so you can just like put yourself into a wall in relation to him to make sure that you don't get feared towards those spiders. Blood of the Corruptor on Yasma, very easy to deal with. basically you just kite Yasma around like most groups normally kite Yasma around, not the pug strategy where you just keep it in one place the whole entire time. You just kite it around the room in circles, making sure that those puddles do in fact, they do go away as soon as the Blood of the Corruptor dies. So just make sure that you slowly kite Yasma around the room.
Yeah, they also do despawn eventually, so as long as you're kiting slowly enough around the room,
Exactly.
you won't run back into your old puddles. But if you try and move around too quickly, or if you're somebody who needs to take a U-turn to kill Yasma, which I have certainly been known to do at times, then that is something that will get you in trouble because there will be all of those puddles in your way.
Exactly.
Blood of the Corruptor, though, is going to be going down for Honestly, and there's just Yasma left to deal with and her army of spiders. That is not too shabby at all from Team Honestly.
I generally find Samrek, Beckoner, Chaos easier to deal with Yasma than the kick Voidweaver Mouthier. And the reason actually is because it requires 3 or 4 melee kicks, kind of depending on how you get Voidweaver Mouthier locked out. Plus, Yasma herself requires a kick. So you're ensuring that kicks are going to go through if you have Voidweaver Mouthier. Whereas Samrek, it's purely individual play, and you just don't get feared into the spiders. Arsenal, unfortunately, has a run-in with the spider, though.
Do you think that some of your preference for not requiring 4 melee kicks for the fight to work is due to the fact that you do not have a melee kick as a balanced druid in there?
I mean, are most groups 4 melee kick? Like in normal circumstances.
That's the thing, yeah. Not all. It's only if you have like an elemental or a resto shaman or 4 melee.
Yes.
Which is a lot, yeah.
But my preference does in fact come from the fact that I do not play melee. Plus, Voidweaver Mouthier will get trapped out in the middle of the room and just lose a lot of efficient cleave. Ash ends
That
up
is definitely true.
cloaking and running over all of the spiders. That's the
That's
pug
another thing we
strat.
see a lot in pugs. Yeah.
That's the weekly no lever
Cloak and
special.
soak the spiders. Unfortunately, it kind of increases the amount of dead space in the room, right? Because now you have a puddle of spiders, which is about the same size as the previous puddle of spiders that's moving around. Plus, you have the actual pools on the ground.
Yes.
So it's kind of double as much space denied in the room as if you didn't cloak soak. But cloak soaking, once you're going to press cloak because you've gotten cut off, you may as well soak some spiders as well. If you're going to run into one, you may as well run into a couple more. Take a few of them out of the picture.
That is definitely the weekly no lever strat, though, is the immunity hit every single spider in your path.
Oh, yeah.
All right, honestly does take down game 1. Angry Toast, though, really interesting strategies. I hope they keep it up for game 2.
Yeah, that was incredibly cool to see, and I don't know about you on that one's ironic, but I just saw the tank running around by himself, and I'm like, what is happening right here? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all thought the same thing. Like, it's a cool strategy, and what it does benefit you is you get to use your Bloodlust on the boss as opposed to using it just to clear out all the AoE. But in the end, I don't think it's really necessarily that good of a strategy on Fortified. It could be something that could be looked at for Tyrannical, but I'm happy that we got to see something a little bit different. Might make some of the other things think about doing something like that later on. Never know. It was just cool to see something different from them.
I think that's always one of the big things we want to look for is that, like, there's more teams, there's more people trying out different strategies, and not just working to, like, get to the bar that one other team has set and just execute the strategies that one other team has set. So, good on Angry Toast for that one, and congratulations to Honestly for winning game number 1 in that lower bracket there.
I think expanding on Jack's point, I think that a lot of teams will end up trying to copycat other runs that they see from some of the top teams, but ultimately trying to come up with your own innovative run sometimes is going to be the best bet. It may not have panned out the way that it perfectly should have for Team Angry Toast here, but I think if they had a clean run, they would have given Honestly a run for their money.
Yeah, and I think that's always one of the big questions when we look through a lot of these different dungeons as well, Dranos, is like the what-if scenarios, because there's always such a big loss in momentum whenever, there's a wipe or whenever a couple people die here and there, and you always kind of wonder, well, how close would they actually be if they stayed on momentum?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's some potential to that strategy of starting the dungeon off with a snap at Razan, but the potential and the actual value that Angry Toast was able to realize in that run were clearly two different things, because quite a lot of things ended up going wrong after that first snap happened for Angry Toast. And I'm not sure that they actually pulled the maximum amount of enemies into Razan that are possible. I think they might have been able to sneak a couple more things in there and really make it into, a time-saving play.
I think if they take that and take it into the 24, like we've seen from other teams, like the 24%, not the... If they take it to the 24% instead of like the 16% that we saw them do, that would have been really efficient.
Yeah, it really would have. And that's what I'm kind of thinking about now is if this becomes some sort of strategy that can be mixed in, for different bosses. We've already seen a couple times where teams would, for example, just snap Saurids and Sky Screamers into position and then have like their Hunter snap the tank down as well a little bit later on, right? But I'm quite curious to see what can be mixed in the future, especially as there's always more snap spots that start coming around, Zyronic. I mean, Waycrest Manor's our next dungeon.
Yeah, well, the thing that's interesting to me is this might be a question of how much more efficient can you get, right? We know that there are the Brazier snap points up by Priestess Alunza. The question is how much can you actually end up snapping up there, and then on top of that pulling all of that massive AoE in the room with Priestess Alunza. It's possible with double Unholy Decay if you don't just get overwhelmed by certain single target damage on players, but at what point does the risk outweigh the reward of doing that? And at what point will the top-end teams feel like they have to do that in order to, guaranteed win their matches against other top-end teams? It's just going to become like a power creep of who can snap the most mobs, which we're already seeing. So it's definitely an interesting concept to talk about. And, I'm interested to see where teams end up taking it. And I feel like, this is the first couple of cups of the year that we're going to see. We still got plenty more left in BFA. These teams are probably going to take it to the extreme when we get, start talking about Summerland.
That's right. And as we're taking a look at our map pool, with honestly winning in Atal'Dazar, that brings us over to Waycrest Manor. And if we go into a game 3, we've got Freehold, and Daddles, he's looking like some good keys to push, like, in a week. If we're trying to get some score, like, I feel like, maybe not the Freehold, right? But everything else has been pretty nice looking.
Yeah, definitely the push week keys that you hope for, as long as you can avoid all of the King's Rests of all of the Siege of Borealis. Please
the
no
junkyard.
Tyrannical Workshop. Give me all of the junkyards, the Atal'Dazars, the Freeholds, please, sir.
I don't know about the junkyards in this one. I'm talking about the tournament.
Are you just talking about the tournament?
I'm talking about the tournament, man.
I'm talking about pushing,
I'm talking about the 3 dungeons that are in this map pool that are right in front of us here, Ted.
What's a more prestigious award, getting IO or winning the NDI? I say getting IO.
Maybe it's like prestigious for a boomkin or something, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's not like Teddles is going to do either, so it doesn't really matter.
Because he's not going to get into your group. It's on you, Dratos.
His only experience with the MDI was foremanning it, so it's kind of hard.
Listen, man, that ship has sailed, all right? Actually, it's sunk. Excuse me.
Sunk?
Teddles on a team. Sinking ship. Hey, buddy. Seething, like the smoke coming out of his ears outside of his headset. All right, the final rating checks are getting together as Honestly and Angry Toast are getting ready for game number 2, which will be Waycrest Manor with Fortified, Bursting, and Raging. And I'm pretty interested to see what some kind of strats that Honestly will be pulling out, because if I'm not mistaken, Zyronic, wasn't it ethical on the Waycrest that had finished up all of their trash and then they went upstairs grabbed all of the first mobs in the lobby and then went into the Hunter's Lodge?
Yeah, it actually was. No, I believe, yeah, you're right. It was Ethical who was. Honestly, ended up having a slower run and not quite completing it. They had about I want to say around 18-minute run, 1840, something like that. And they were not clean at all. They had, 2 deaths. They had a DPS dead for a couple of the bosses as well. So they definitely have a lot of room to improve in their Waycrest Manor. And I'm just, honestly, all I want to see out of Honestly, didn't mean to do that, by the way, is a clean run from them. We haven't seen a no-death run from Honestly yet. And if they want to make a run in this lower bracket, we need to see, them at their best to see what we can actually get out of that team.
Yeah, I think this is really the time and the opportunity for a lot of these teams to start stepping it up and start showing that they're going to be able to start building momentum throughout this. Because, as we've watched, they've had, 4 to 5 hours, something like that, in between their games to start practicing, getting everything that they needed together so that they could start performing. And now's the time that we really want to be able to see both these teams step up as game number 2 between Honestly and Angry Toast gets underway.
So something I immediately noticed about Angry Toast is that they're running double Havoc Demon Hunter plus a Holy Paladin with that Unholy Death Knight, where on the side of Team Honestly, they're running that Rogue Havoc Demon Hunter Unholy Death Knight with the Mistweaver Monk combo. Dratnos, how are you feeling about the Mistweaver Monk versus the Holy Paladin for this?
Yeah, both of these specs have seen some use in Waycrest Manor. Mistweaver Monk actually, this was one of the first dungeons back in previous MDI seasons where Mistweaver started to overtake Resto Druid in terms of MDI popularity. So there's a lot of good things that you can get in this dungeon with that Mistweaver Monk, especially with those Death Knight pulls. The way the Crane Healing is such a good complement to an Unholy Death Knight pull, because, of course, their healing scales up with the number of targets in a similar way to how the Death Knight's damage scales up with the number of targets.
Yeah. In addition to that, I feel like Holy Paladin, especially in MDI scenarios, does have its benefits, but generally the benefits come into the utility suite. If you're playing the dungeon in more of like a copycat style, where like you're running very similar strategies to what other teams are doing, it's going to be hard to get super big benefit out of it, because you're basically using Wings and Holy Avengers similar to how a Mistweaver Monk would end up using Way of the Crane. So you just would rather almost have that Mistweaver Monk because it's easier to do it on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll have to see if they have anything cool that they're doing with stuff like Bop and Bubble. You know, any kind of cool things that they're getting done with that, or if they're going to be able to find a way to do huge amounts of damage with that Holy Paladin. As we do know, Holy Paladins are able to pump out some very large amounts of damage if everything goes well, and if they set all their stuff up correctly. We do see Vision of Perfection Major coming out from Hula, not the Formless Void, which I think Ellesmere has run a few times, which can be used to steal stuff like Blood of the Enemy or Focusing Iris to do huge amounts of damage. So not any access to that, but still, Wings is a potent damage cooldown in and of itself.
Angry Toast ends up killing the Blood of the Corruptor, where honestly is definitely going to skip it and pull Blood of the Corruptor into Gorak Tool. Angry Toast is actually positioning themselves not in front of Heartsbane Triad, though. They still haven't used their first Bloodlust of the dungeon. They're positioning themselves in a hallway in a way that they're looking ready to where that they can do a pretty big pull. I expect that their Bloodlust is probably going to be used right here. All right, that's what I was thinking from on the side of Angry Toast, utilizing the double Demon Hunter with both of those Fell Barrages and that Unholy Death Knight. We're on the side of Honestly. They are pulling all of the trash in the courtyard, having already downed Heartsbane Triad.
Yeah, so this is looking... It looks like the setup cost here was fairly high for Angry Toast to do this.
Yes.
You know, in the time that they got 5% enemy forces and killed one awakened enemy, Honestly killed the first boss of the dungeon. And then they were both on to similarly sized pulls here. So now they're pretty much in the same situation overall, except Angry Toast is going to have one fewer enemy to deal with Goraktul. But Honestly has killed an extra boss, and I think that Honestly has got the better of that exchange, especially given the amount of backtracking now that Angry Toast is going to have to do. You know, they're going to be walking back through some cleared space to the Heartsbane Triad room, and then they're going to be walking back again through the area they just killed some trash in. So there's going to be all this walking around through areas they've already cleared, which is not the most efficient thing in the world.
So you actually do see here, Angry Toast is not electing to pull the Toads and the Acolytes into Heartsbane Triad. They're electing to pull them back into the hallway area. They end up using Darkness. You see Mitt there. He was doing more healing than the healer just by Darkness over the bursting stacks. So that was a really good strategy by Angry Toast, where Honestly has pulled Matron Brindle to the side, and they're pulling Soulbound Goliath all the way through, doing some of these piglets and a bunch of these maggots with Soulbound Goliath. It's just a super efficient pull here from Honestly.
Yeah, this is one of two options here. You know, we saw earlier, I think it was Complexity Limit that decided to just do Brindle with Soulbound Goliath. That was a lot sketchier. Max, I think, almost went down to that. But this pull that they've done, that Honestly have done here, is one that is also fast and is maybe a little bit safer than fighting Matron Brindle here.
Still nothing on the ethical pull, where they pull the entire courtyard with the boss and the mini-boss. Yeah.
Yes, that pull is something else.
That one was... I don't think I've ever seen any other team ever do anything like that. That's a normal mode dungeon special.
Alright, we see Soulbound Goliath here getting fairly low. Looks like most of the trash has been dealt with on the side of Honestly. Meanwhile, Angry Toast have engaged the first boss of the dungeon, the Heartsbane Triad. They've got it about halfway on all three of these witches. Fairly good DPS coming out from them. Although nothing on Honestly's damage meters right now, which are inflated by all that trash that they were able to pull onto bosses. Angry Toast was unable to do that in this room. They decided to pull the trash first, and that has caused a serious loss in overall DPS from them.
Do you want to know the way that you can pad damage on Heartsbane Triad so that you can con people into inviting a Moonkin into your group? So whenever one of the witches dies from Heartsbane Triad, it'll still take damage from some cleave abilities. So you can still make sure that they're taking AoE damage from you. So you use like your Fell Barrage, and they take full damage, by the way. So you can use your Fell Barrage whenever there's like only one target, whenever two are dead, and you'll get like 3 targets worth of damage from the Fell Barrage, so you can pad the meter.
Ooh, this is dangerous insight, Tuttles. Dangerous words here that are going to cause a lot of padding to happen worldwide, I'm sure.
Alright, so Honestly's down Soulbound Goliath, and now they're looking It looks like they're preparing to pop a Lightfoot potion. Yeah, okay. So Pumps is waiting for his potion cooldown to come up. Their whole entire group ends up using a Lightfoot potion. They're pulling all the way to the end of the hallway. Pumps jumps up on that snap spot to snap all of the mobs to him. And now Ninja gets in the snap spot to make sure those Pallid Gorgers don't end up jumping at all, saving them a significant amount of damage. All of the bursting sacks end up coming out. Honestly, he's looking
Pumps gets
pretty
very
crisp.
low,
Yeah.
but they are able to live through it. And that pull looking extremely clean from them. Now they have dealt with all of the hallway trash all at once, and they just have to come up with a way to deal with Rawl the Gluttonous in the room. I wonder if they're going to try and pull the entire room with Rawl the Gluttonous. A very classic Death Knight pull. I think that might be the first place we saw a Death Knight break 1 million DPS in the MDI in earlier seasons. Yeah.
I think
Looks like they're even pulling some enemies from the Huntsman's Lodge.
Yeah. So honestly, he ended up pulling something from the Huntsman's Lodge. I'm pretty sure this is where they fell slightly behind in their match earlier on in the day versus Complexity Limit. I'm pretty sure this pull in the Huntsman Lodge is just a little bit slower, especially compared to what other teams are doing. But I think ultimately they're in a good position. As long as they can stay clean, they should be okay. Angry Toast here, still in the courtyard area, yet to have pulled Soulbound Goliath, finishing off just a few more mobs in that courtyard, making sure that they need to kick those infected thorns. There was enrages going out. No.
Yeah, and stacks of that soul fetish as well. From one dead witch to another. Very, very brutal effect there on Angry Toast's side. Causes the death of Zuli and Hula. That's going to cost them maybe 30 seconds, maybe a little bit more as they wait for their friends to return. Still, though, they were able to get through the pull, so not as bad as it could have been. And they're going to pull Matron Brindle onto the Soulbound Goliath. Meanwhile, honestly, looking at Rawl the Gluttonous' room, a Jade Serpent statue in the very middle of the room, and we can see the Lightfoot coming out from Pumps. He's going to pull all these mobs and go right into Rawl the Gluttonous, and they're going to fight all these all at once. Out will come the Unholy Death Knight Burst, and we will see these mobs disappear.
Yep, we saw the meta. We saw the double I-Beam coming out of Disarray. He ended up using I-Beam and then using meta, get Chaotic Transformation to be able to reset that I-Beam, using the second I-Beam, and then R's popping off on all of these mobs as well. Rawl the Gluttonous sitting at a nice 70%
Oh,
health.
Pumps has gone down!
Though.
That is not good. They get that B-Res, and the B-Res luckily was during the Tenderize sequence, but unfortunately Disarray and R's are both down as well. And oh my goodness, the Raging Gorger is now jumping around, Ninja taking huge damage, and dies to the Rotten Expulsion. Just Pumps and Ash left alive, and I believe that they are going to be in trouble here. It looks like they might be trying to finish off that Gorger. Ash trying to make a hero play. Looks like he instead is opting to just use that Vanish. And that is going to be a full team wipe from Honestly. It's going to cost them a large amount of time as well because they do not have that fuel for the Unholy Death Knight damage on their next pull into Rawl anymore, as all the trash in the room is gone, but Rawl is not.
So this is similar to what happened earlier for Team Honestly, except this time, instead of Disarray going down by himself, the whole entire team ended up having a full wipe. Not having a Soothe for the Enrage effects just puts your tank at a position where he's able to die at any given moment. I think that's ultimately what ended up happening to Honestly there.
Yeah, it's hard to know because, you know, with 10 mobs, it's not like a Soothe is going to save you, right? If you soothe one mob out of 10, I wonder if there was something weird that happened, some ability that he got hit by that, you know, like a Retch or a Tenderize or something. Yeah. Unclear exactly what went down there, but I saw Pumps just went from 100 to 0 very, very quickly. Perhaps Shield Block was not up. That's what happens to Warriors when Shield Block is not up, but I'm very much not sure.
Hope his Shield Block was up. Let's see. Let's check and see what essences he's running. He's running Memory of Lucid Dreams Major. So basically, if he's running Memory Major, he should be able to have 100% uptime on Shield Block because of how Anger Management ends up working out.
I don't think that Anger Management has an interaction with Shield Block. It has Last Stand uptime.
Okay, so Last Stand. Yeah, Memory of Lucid Dreams has an interaction with Anger Management, which has an interaction with Last Stand, which if you're able to get your Last Stand up more frequently, you're able to get virtually 100% block chance because they are running, was it Bolster, is that talent, I believe? Yeah, okay. So, in a roundabout way, they should have 100% block uptime. Maybe if it's not from the ability Shield Block.
So maybe what happened there was just the Lucid itself ran out, and without all that huge amounts of Leech and extra Ignore Pains, then he fell over fairly quickly.
Sure. Yeah. And of course, at home, you can also check out what these guys are wearing on mdi.gcd.tv. there you can use the tool there to see what all of the players are running in terms of talents, corruption, just gear, essences too. If you hover over the Heart of Azeroth.
Here on YouTube as well, it's pretty easy to go back in the VOD and maybe do some wipe scene investigation. See if you can figure out what happened to Pumps there.
Yeah, I'm reading chat, so please tell me what happened.
All right. Meanwhile, Angry Toast, they are doing some pulls out here in the courtyard as Rawl the Gluttonous is going down for Team Honestly. Angry Toast, despite the fact that there's a full team wipe on the side of Honestly, still fairly far behind. Lots of raging mobs now. Zuli goes down.
Yeah, I think Spooky was dead on Soulbound Goliath for a prolonged period of time too, while we were sitting here talking about Pumps dying and the full team wipe. Honestly, now has pulled Samrak Beckoner of Chaos, and it'll be interesting to see where they take him. I think that they brought him to the downstairs area last time, and then they ended up pulling the whole entire downstairs area with the mini-boss.
Yeah, it's a very large pull, but Death Knights are extremely well suited to dealing damage in that environment, so that may work out for them. I wonder if they have the Urgroth as well. And yeah, they do. So they've got the double pull here of those awakened enemies, activating both obelisks simultaneously for peak efficiency, and that is going to mean that Gorak Tull will only have 2 awakened enemies. And yeah, of course, this is the route we've seen them do Waycrest earlier today, so they're executing the same route that they did before. Earlier today, they were able to get Waycrest done in just a little over 18 minutes. This time, with a full team wipe, I think that we're looking at probably going to be a little bit longer than that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the full team wipe is going to be catastrophic. In the other run that they had earlier, about the 18-minute run, Disarray was dead for, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half on Raw, so that was also not great for them. Angry Toast is now still in the hallway area. I wonder how big they're going to pull into Raw. It looks like they're taking it a little bit slower than what we saw from Honestly.
Yeah, they're not making use of that snap spot in the same way there. They're just going to pull them all together. But those Gorgers are jumping around, and you can see those bleeds on most of the party doing huge amounts of damage. Luckily, Hula able to heal through it, as Wings does come back off cooldown now, if need be.
So now you see here, honestly, it looks like Ash is running to the far side, probably with his tricks on Pumps. Then he's going to end up helping Pumps get some of these mobs grouped up, redirecting some of the threat to him. And then they're going to just basically blow all of their damage onto this pack right here. This is a fairly dangerous pull, I will say.
Yeah, a lot can go wrong with this many enemies here. Almost all of them have some kind of nasty ability. But if you can kill them off in 10 seconds, especially while the Mistweaver is still in Way of the Crane, then it's not too bad. Out comes the Darkness from Disarray. That is going to help them out as well.
So according
they are
to,
able to survive this pull, yeah.
So according to chat, Pumps dipped to half health and then got instantly killed.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe not a... I still have no idea then.
Yeah, he didn't get
but
global,
it was probably
though.
not a one-shot then.
Yeah, he didn't get global. All right, so honestly now just dealing with that. Is it a Diviner or is it a Diviner?
I believe it's a Diviner, but now that you say it, I'm not sure.
I think that was a Mark's sister anyways. That's not a Diviner.
They have some more enemies now coming in here. This is a very strange pull coming out from Honestly. We don't usually see them do this kind of like slow chain pull style with just 2 enemies at the end that aren't all that lethal individually. I wonder if they maybe just missed these on their initial pull and they were supposed to be in that first pull with everything else.
I mean, does adding an extra Mark's sister and a captain add that much to the pull? I mean, the captain's actually kind of scary, but
they do kind of slap.
They do kind of beat your tank down. Yeah, that was a good point. I don't know. Maybe that was intentional. I think ultimately there's optimizations in this route. I don't think either of us are claiming that this route is like super optimized.
Well, yeah. I mean, the question is whether this is intentional or not, and
sure. I
don't think we'll know for sure. Yeah. They are going to be moving down, though, after this. They're at the 91% trash mark, so they are going to be fine without pulling any of those Gloom Horrors. They do need to pull the trash in Lord and Lady Waycrest room, but they can pull that onto Lord and Lady Waycrest themselves to get a little bit of that sweet, sweet Unholy Death Knight AoE goodness.
Do you think they would have been better off running a second Unholy DK here?
Yeah, so their pulls have been looking pretty well optimized for Unholy Death Knights, but it's not like Disarray has been doing small amounts of damage either.
Exactly.
You know, Disarray's damage has been pretty phenomenal, and you know, has
as you
looked
see right
fairly
here.
competitive. Yeah. Also bringing that 5% magic damage done buff, so 5% of Ars's damage can be attributed to Disarray, along with 5% of all the corruption damage from the rest of the group if they are playing stuff like Gushing Wound.
Wait, I thought Gushing Wind was a physical damage bleed.
I thought it was a shadow damage thing.
Oh, is it shadow damage? It's definitely bleed, but
It could be. Well, if it's a bleed, then it's physical. Bleeds are physical. I guess Gushing Wind does sound like a bleed now that you mention it. So maybe I'll retract that one.
I don't know, but you could also be correct. I do not lay claim to being correct on this one.
I'll just speculate wildly here on air. That's my that's my plan.
I've never done such a thing. I do not know what you're talking about. So it looks
All right,
like
Angry Toast making their way now into Samrak Beckoner Chaos. That is going to be the awakened enemy they need to kill. Meanwhile, honestly, working on Lord and Lady Waycrest, as Lord Waycrest now enters his final health bar, and Lady Waycrest will be teleporting down to join the fun.
Yep.
Damage.
So now they're probably just going to be DPSing down Lady Waycrest quickly here, where Pumps continues to spell reflect the Wasting Strike back into Lord Waycrest. That is, if we had damage meters enabled for spell reflected damage, you would see Pumps probably doing like at least 70k DPS, because the Wasting Strike, the efficiency on how good it is to reflect it is so insanely stupid.
Yeah, there's that weak aura you can get that adds spell reflect to your details.
Exactly.
It is wild how often Prot Warriors are on top with that thing. Looks like Angry Toast are fighting Urgroth and Samrak at the same time, so they're doing the same strategy here. That is all but one awakened enemy now dealt with on the side of Angry Toast, so Goraktul shouldn't be very deadly at all, just has the spider left. Deswin, though, getting very low on this pull, forced to kite with that Spirit Breaker debuff on him. Meanwhile, honestly, making their way to the last boss, they are going to meld. They're at 97% enemy forces, so they should be all finished here once these two awakened enemies die with Goraktul, for which they have Bloodlust. They are about to get this bread and make Angry Toast toast.
They are going to get this bread. All right, Dretnus must be stopped, and honestly, I think is going to stop. You do see Voidweaver Malthair and Blood the Corruptor here. Blood the Corruptor is probably going to be focused down first because of Goraktul's limited range, just like the limited space in the room. So you're seeing the...
Actually, Voidweaver Malthair goes down first, and they are getting sandwiched against the edge of the room here by the Blood of the Corruptor pools.
Huh. Maybe they
Interesting there.
Maybe they don't believe that they need the extra space. I think as long as they kite perfectly, they shouldn't need it. But this is starting to get a little bit tight.
And they are very much out of room there, but they do manage to kill Blood of the Corruptor. Very well played there by Honestly, and now they just have 50% left on Goraktul's health bar. Bloodlust has expired, but they should no longer be in need of it, as it is just a fortified boss that stands between them and advancing to the next stage of the lower bracket here.
Yeah, so Angry Toast does end up getting all of their players up. They're walking into Lord and Lady Waycrest's room, but I am afraid it is a little bit too little too late. Honestly, at 99% trash count, they just need to down one Gloom Horror, and then their run will be concluded. I assume that they're probably going to run off to the side and grab that here in a few moments.
Yeah, it's interesting. Their trash count looking a little bit weird. I wonder what happened to their plan here, because being at 99% after Goraktul is a strange number to be at. You'd expect it to be either far lower or at 100%, right?
Well, we've seen teams in the past where they'll like para
Gloom Horror and and have it come in at the end of the boss fight or something.
I mean, it's not
yeah, you can see. I think they might not have even known that they were short on count. You can see they're moving in different directions. Yeah, Disarray was moving towards that Gloom Horror. The rest of the group, though, taking that teleport up to the front of the dungeon. So I believe that it's fair to say that was probably unintentional.
Okay, yeah. Definitely unintentional.
They're celebrating and everything.
Yeah.
They're like, we did it. They're like, wait, we're not done yet.
Where's the chest? I need the loot.
Yeah.
Oh, it honestly takes it to a...
That's right. Honestly, despite a couple of mistakes of their own, they do take the series 2-0 and will be moving on to tomorrow. And despite some cool and inventive strats, Angry Toast is going to be eliminated under them.